If you want to be Tea Party, you have to love our country and you have to love our Constitution. And you have to be willing to fight for them above your own interests. And you have to put freedom above your own interest. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard Donald Trump talk about the Tea Party? Have you ever heard Donald Trump talk about the Tea Party? I haven't. I've got serious questions about his fidelity to the document that Tea Partiers revere. For instance, Donald Trump recently said that if he got to be president, he would, and I quote, open up the libel laws to make it easier for him to sue newspapers that wrote unkind things about him. The right to speak freely without fear of reprisal is enshrined in our Constitution. That's what makes America different from every other country on the face of the earth. We're here, we can speak our mind, even criticize our government, and even criticize our political leaders without fear of reprisal. We are protected by our Constitution to do so. And when I hear a candidate say he wants to mess with our rights to free speech, I fear for our Constitution and our country. Because that's not Tea Party. In fact, the Tea Party fought tooth and nail to keep our free speech. But that's not the only reason I know Donald Trump isn't what he says he is. A look at his history and his background raised very serious questions. Donald Trump stole a line from Ronald Reagan. He says he wants to make America great again. Well, I'm going to borrow a line from Ronald Reagan. Trust but verify. Here's what I verified. Many of Donald Trump's critics say he's inconsistent. He was for universal health care before he was against it. He once supported the biggest tax increase in history, and now he says he wants to cut taxes. He was pro-choice before he became pro-life. He donated to Democrats before he donated to Republicans. He funded the establishment candidates against the Tea Party before he said he loved the Tea Party. Yes, he's inconsistent if you look at all the issues that he flip-flops on. But if you look at his motivation for taking those positions, you'll see that, in fact, there is a remarkable consistency. It's the consistency of serving his own interests. Because you can always count on this. On any given issue, at any given time, Donald Trump will take the position that serves his interests as he perceives it at that time. Are you still not sure? Listen up. When a little old lady, mind you, a widow, refused to sell her property to him so he could knock down her house for a parking garage next to his casinos, Donald Trump tried to use the government to take her property away from her. The property right, the right to use and own your property as you see fit, is one of the essential elements of limited government. Anyone who does not understand and defend the property right has no business serving in elected office, let alone the presidency. Using the government to force a property owner to give up her property that she doesn't want to sell, that is not Tea Party. And in 2013, when so many of us were fighting to stop the Gang of Eight amnesty bill, Trump issued statements saying he was for amnesty. For the last 8 months, he's been saying he's against amnesty and that he wants to build a wall. But in the last few days, we've heard he may have told the New York Times something entirely different. We don't know because it's off the record and he won't release the tape. And last night, he said he's softening his position on immigration. We don't even know where he stands on this issue today. That's not Tea Party. A few years back, Donald Trump decided to trade his reputation as a real estate tycoon and make money by marketing a series of real estate seminars. So he opened up what he called a university bearing his name, and apparently took a lot of people for a lot of money. So much so that he's now defending not one, not two, but 3 separate lawsuits on the matter. It have 5,000 plaintiffs. Scamming people out of their hard-earned money? Definitely not Tea Party. In each of those cases, Donald Trump was serving his own interests as he perceived them at the time. Donald Trump is about love of himself. But the Tea Party is about love of country and the love of our Constitution. I know you're angry, and I know you're upset too. And I know that Donald Trump is tapping into that anger. It's a smart campaign strategy because he makes it seem like he shares our frustration, and it's like he's fighting on our behalf. And when he says he wants to make America great again, we cheer because we all believe America is great, and we appreciate what sounds like love of country on his part. It's a seductive pitch, and I have several friends and colleagues who support him even as I speak. Here's what I think. Donald Trump loves himself first, last, and everywhere in between. He loves himself more than our country. He loves himself more than the Constitution. He doesn't love you or me, and he doesn't love the Tea Party. Donald Trump has no business thinking he's Tea Party. And every Tea Party person who truly loves the Constitution should take that into account when casting their vote. And why should you vote for Donald Trump anyway? If you're a Tea Party, you've got a much better candidate to support, Ted Cruz. I know, and I've worked with Ted Cruz ever since he came to the Senate. And I know him as a man of his word, a man of honor, a man of integrity, a man who keeps his promises. And let me tell you, in Washington, that makes him a rare man. A very, very rare man. When it was time to fight the implementation of Obamacare, or fight the increase in the debt ceiling, or work to block amnesty for illegal immigrants, Ted Cruz led the charge. On issue after issue, Ted Cruz stood strong for our Constitution. He's kept his promises, and he won't back down. I'm proud Tea Party Patriot Citizens Fund endorsed Ted Cruz for president. But it's not just about a man, though. It's about our principles. Our candidate really is the Constitution. We support Ted Cruz because he reveres and defends the Constitution. I'm proud to know that any time we're in a battle against Washington insiders, I can always count on Ted Cruz to be on the right side, to be right by our side. And we have an historic opportunity this year. We have the most conservative candidate since Ronald Reagan running for president. I've never even been able to vote for a candidate who's conservative. He's demonstrated that in his campaign, he can beat Donald Trump. And he can win the general election against Hillary Clinton. But he needs our help. And that means I need your help.
We look forward to working with President Trump and the Republican Congress to enact significant changes beginning with the first 100 days. It's time to deliver.
You know, the never-Trumpers with whom I was arguing, a lot of my old friends, said 2 things they were sure of. One, he wouldn't be elected because Hillary would bury him. Well, that was wrong. The second thing is he's no conservative. This cabinet, these picks so far, are not the most conservative by a Republican president since Reagan. They're the most conservative, including Reagan.